Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video I'm going to be going over the release cadence for the War Within, basically like the end game release schedule, what you're going to be able to do at what date. It'll go through the pre-patch stuff here real quick, and then we'll talk about the release schedule of the War Within and like what each of these times mean for you as a player. So they put out a blue post today, Blizzard did, and it says just the facts. So Dragonflight PvP ladder Mythic Plus titles are done as of today. Pre-expansion content goes live tomorrow. Pre-expansion at 7:23. 7:30 pre-expansion event goes live. So that's going to be the Radiant Echoes. It's going to be 1 week after the actual pre-patch goes live. So the event will start that allows you to get gear and stuff like that. Then a full month later, we have PvP preseason begins with weekly resets. I don't know what PvP preseason means, but maybe you can do battlegrounds or something. Maybe they're activating that before the expansion. Obviously, it's before the expansion. The War Within early access begins on August 22nd. That's normal dungeons only, as far as endgame goes. Delves as well. There should be normal delves as well. So delves up to a certain level, I imagine. They did not mention delves in this post. I'm going to throw that in myself. And then on the actual release of the game for pre-buyers like myself, the War Within goes live globally at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, with heroic dungeons and Dragonflight Season 4 PvE rewards are retired. And Dragonflight Season 4 PvE rewards are retired. So that's when apparently cutting edge and stuff and KSM and stuff will go away. That's what it sounds like there. So it sounds like we might actually be able to get those. That's weird. Okay. Well, I don't. This implies some things. We'll see. I don't want to like go there in this video though. This should also, again, with heroic dungeons, this should also be delves up to a certain amount as well, in my opinion. And they're just not adding it because they're not used to talking about delves, would be my guess. So on September 10th, that's going to be when Season 1 officially begins. Heroic Raid Finder, Mythic Zero Dungeons, Heroic Seasonal Dungeons, a new World Boss, and PvP Season 1. And then, so this is the Heroic Week that we normally have. And you'll notice that Mythic Plus isn't in here. So a lot of people are, getting a little bit confused or angry about this. Basically, this is the week that we used to have. I know we forget so quickly as players. There always was a Heroic Week before Mythic came out. During that Heroic Week, Mythic Plus was capped at a certain level. Basically meaning if you did anything over like a +6 or 7, whatever it was, if you did anything higher than that, the gear, you wouldn't get any more gear. I think you could still push your score, but you would not get any gear that helped you whatsoever during that week. All this is doing is it's changing that to Mythic Zero. Now with the end of Dragonflight, if you haven't been keeping up, we did a dungeon squish down. Okay, so Mythic Zeros are kind of like Mythic Plus 10s if you played in whatever, BFA, or not BFA, if you played in like Shadowlands or something, right? It's kind of like a +10, or even earlier in Dragonflight. If you played Dragonflight Season 1 and you did a +10, that's kind of like a Mythic Zero now. And the gear eye level is commensurate to that. So you'll be able to do all 8 Mythic Dungeons on a weekly or lockout. Well, in this case, it's just 1 week. So you do all 8 weekly dungeons. If you wanted to like get the best chance for loot or whatever, all 8 dungeons, and then you would just be done for the week as far as dungeon gearing goes, right? That would be the highest level of content that you could do. And this is basically, it just fits in line with the whole eye level cap that they've always had. It's just a little bit different now because Mythic Plus eye level starts a lot higher than what it used to start. A +2 used to be not very good loot. A +2 now is fairly good loot in Mythic Plus. So that's the kind of the difference there. On September 17th, Mythic Raid and Mythic Plus dungeons are finally open. Raid Finder Wing 2, Raid Story difficulty. If you don't know what Raid Story difficulty is, now you can actually go into the raid to complete the raid quest. Like, go into the raid and see how, like, the quest is always framed like this. Go into the raid and see what happens between the fight between, Illyria and Zalsaleth. That's not what this raid is. I'm just giving you an example. And you would go into the raid and defeat the final boss and turn in the quest. Well, now you can go into this raid as solo if you want. It's like 1 to 10 players, I believe. You can go in solo into the story finding mode and story finder, story difficulty mode, and you can just get your quest done basically. And then a week later, the final Raid Fighter Wing opens up as well on September 24th. Dragonflight Season 4 end dates. The current end of PvP season will be at 10 p.m. Pacific the night before, so the 22nd. For EU, it's a little bit different. With the season's end, it'll no longer be possible to earn PvP seasonal rewards. Yeah, we kind of already went over that. War Within, the start of early access. Normal difficulty dungeons will be available. So that's all of them. So cool. So prior, the Sacred Flame is not in the first Mythic Plus rotation for the War Within, but this is one of the best dungeons that they've ever made in terms of aesthetic. So I'm really excited for people to try this out. Prior, the Sacred Flame is really, really cool. On September 10th, the War Within Season 1 will begin. World bosses, corridor. Apparently, there's 4 world bosses. That's kind of cool. I didn't even know that. Mythic raids, and then here's like a thing of loot. So here's what I was talking about with the loot, and we can end it on this. So Mythic 0 loot is what would be 593 in Dragonflight Season 4, but it's +2 would be 597 on the next tier up. So a +2 normally would be like this adventurer level or whatever back in past seasons, and that's what I mean by the Mythic Plus isn't open just because the item level is considered too high. You'd already be having a high item level before Heroic even came out, right? If Mythic Plus was open, let's say to +6 or something, right, or +7 like it previously was, you would already be fully heroic gear before the Mythic Raid came out. That's why they always had the cap on the Mythic Plus before. That same cap exists. It's just that cap now exists within this Mythic 0 gear track. That's where the cap exists at now. And so that's why the Mythic Plus isn't available. Mythic Plus just gives too much gear. Now that you could say, well, just open up Mythic Plus and have it give no gear. That's a good solution. I'm not here to like argue that. I'm just explaining that they basically didn't change anything. The dungeons changed, and then they kept the system the same is what happened here. So just wanted to kind of, I saw a lot of people confused and some people complaining, some people angry. Wanted to kind of talk about that. So yeah, this is the release schedule for War Within. If you have any specific questions, and I feel like I didn't cover them very well, I'll try to get back to any and all of those. But yeah, that's what we're looking like going into the War Within here. So very excited for pre-patch. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel because it helps me out a lot. If you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to check out the Patreon. And other than that, everybody have a good one.